Martin Truex Jr., after not winning at all in 2022, missing the playoffs, comes out in 2023 at the Busch Light Clash, wins it, and kicks off the season right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Clemhawks. I'm Clemhawk. I hope you enjoy this type of video, and if you do, make sure to stick around. But I thought I'd give you guys a break from baseball, talk a little bit about something I'm passionate about in NASCAR, and we are talking about the Busch Light Clash to kick off the 2023 season. So the first official, unofficial race of the year, and Martin Truex Jr. gets the win. I actually picked him, which you guys wouldn't know about because I didn't say it to you guys, but I knew that, or I said that Martin Truex Jr. was going to win this race before, and he did, which is super cool. That's who I was rooting for outside of Chase Elliott, but really awesome to see right off the bat Martin Truex Jr. win a race in 2023 after, like I said, missing the playoffs last year, and who knows what this could do. He was going to retire, right? And honestly, that made me a little sad. I love Martin Truex Jr. He's a great race car driver. And to see him come back and start 2023 on the money is great. I mean, Joey Logano won it last year, ended up winning the championship. So that would be kind of cool, and Martin Truex can retire on top. But like he said, he's not going to talk about that until September. Let's talk about the race itself. 150 laps in the main event after a couple of last chance qualifyings and a couple of heat races. The main event was a mess. Okay, let's talk about this. I'm happy because Martin Truex Jr. won, and he is probably my favorite Toyota driver, but the race itself was absolutely disastrous. I mean, you have so many cars. This is coming from, I think they had 21 or 23 last year. I think they had 27 this year, and I could have the numbers mixed up a little bit, but there were more cars this year. And I'm not saying that was the main factor, but man, there were 14 cautions. It seemed like there was a caution every 4 laps. Like they would just get up to speed. You would just start to see some racing because it's such a small track. And then all of a sudden, boom, caution started over. And caution laps didn't count, which probably is a good thing, but it just kept dragging on and on, that means. Anyway, it was a caution every 4 laps. It really made it hard to watch and hard to get into. I try to put my phone away and just watch NASCAR every time that it's on, but man, every time it was commercial, it was just like, oh, we're going to go back to TikTok or whatever, because it was just like, it's happening again and again and again. So that was my only gripe about this race. Was it went on for 2.5 hours. It was a 150-lap race on a 13-second track. Like that, numbers don't really add up, right? So that was my only gripe. I love the beating and banging that these cars have, right? The new composite bodies from last year in the next-gen car. It's like, that is racing, and I love it. Like, I'm a big fan of the rub and racing kind of thing. You pay somebody back if they hit you, right? Like, that is my kind of racing. I love, clean racing every once in a while, but that's fun, especially on a short track, right? That's what you want to see. There was a lot of passing in certain parts, dive bombs and everything. But, man, just like these cars, a little too tight or something, they spin out, like... That was just my only problem. Last year, there were only 6 cautions, right? That's just what I'm saying. And maybe it was the addition of like 4 more cars, tighter track, more aggressive, right? Everyone wants to win. They want to see what they can do in these cars. I don't know. But that was my only gripe with this. I want to know your thoughts. Of course, that's why I make these videos. I wanted to give it a little bit of a break from baseball and talk about something that I love. But what do you think? Was this race compared to last year up to your standards? Would this have turned new NASCAR fans away? Like, that is kind of my biggest thing looking at this race. I'm a NASCAR fan. I watched every single race last year. I've watched NASCAR for all of my life, right? If this was my first race, would I want to stick around? And I'm not talking about the hardcore NASCAR fans who like are getting into the sport, right? That younger generation. I mean, maybe I am. Maybe that's the direction we want to go here. But, like, obviously they make it a show in L.A. and they hype it up with Wiz Khalifa, right? This, pop artist, whatever. Like, that is not appealing to your normal NASCAR fan. So if you are not a NASCAR fan in that demographic, is this a race that you would want to watch again? My personal thoughts is probably not. like, maybe if you were there in person, it's a different story. But if you were tuning in, especially in that area, if you weren't able to get tickets or, you just didn't want to go out in person or whatever, I don't know if this is a race that you would want to say, I want to continue watching. Maybe you give the Daytona 500 a chance, and maybe that's all NASCAR is trying to do is just push you to the next race. And hopefully that next race is better and bigger and everything, Daytona 500, right? But as somebody who wasn't in the audience, if I was watching this for the first time, I don't know if I would watch the next race, right? If I'm growing up in the South or around NASCAR parts of the world, like, I would just chalk this race up to, I had a lot of cautions, it is what it is, whatever. Like, Martinsville, Bristol, they're better. But that's what I want to ask you guys. So, where are the thoughts moving forward on this? And then we'll talk a little bit about the finishing results. Where do you guys see this going, right? I didn't hear anything about it being announced for next year. I personally don't want to see the Clash be at the Coliseum again after this race. Like I said, it wasn't a bad race. I think last year was better. Take it as you will. But I just don't see, like, I don't know if Daytona is the answer. Maybe you go to North Wilkesboro. Maybe you rotate it around. Obviously, they're appealing to a huge market, and it's something creative. It's something new. I think they take the step and go to, a new boundary. Go take that, stadium concept, move it around. If you still want to have that race, I don't know. That's why I asked you guys as well. But I didn't love this race comparatively to other NASCAR races and from what I saw last year. And even looking back to the great finishes at Daytona, maybe that's just my bias towards Daytona. Could be a hot take. I don't know. I would love to see it at Bristol, maybe. Put the All-Star race and put the Clash at Bristol. That's my thought. But let's talk about finishing positions here. Martin Truex Jr. gets the win, as I said, most importantly. Austin Dillon finished second in this race, finished third last year. That guy is sneaky, man. Like, I don't know if he'll make the playoffs this year. Maybe I'll make a video if y'all want to see it about my predictions for the season. But Austin Dillon, sneaky guy, man, gets second place. Really cool P2 for him. Kyle Busch, I missed the heat races and stuff because I was busy, but I heard Kyle Busch had to come from the back. I'm sure he spun once or twice in the class, in the main event there too. So he was all over the place. Ended up finishing third. Really good for him. Bowman kind of was quiet the whole night until that last 70 or the first half. He was almost non-existent. Second half really came to life, and probably the last 30 laps or so ended up finishing fourth. Larson fifth. Reddick in his new ride finishes sixth. Ryan Preece had a great showing. Ends up showing. He was up front for the last 20 or so laps with Bubba Wallace, and they were beating and banging with Martin Truex. That was fun to watch when you actually had that green stretch there for the last 20 laps or so. But he had a mechanical problem or something, electrical problem. So he ends up finishing seventh. Not a bad day for him, though, especially getting into the full ride this year. Chastain didn't make any friends again tonight. Him and Denny Hamlin got into it again. That'll be fun to watch this season, but he finishes 8th, Denny Hamlin finishes 9th, and William Byron finishes 10th. So, pretty good, solid top 10. The guy that I just mentioned previously was Bubba Wallace, who ends up finishing 22nd, right behind Chase Elliott. Both of those guys did not... Bubba Wallace was running great all day long, got bumped out of the way by Austin Dillon at the end, and man, that was kind of funny. He just sent it in there. But interesting. Chase Elliott got in a wreck. Same with Ryan Blaney. They kind of damaged their cars pretty good early in the race. I think Blaney ended up in like 4 cautions or something like that. Might be a little exaggerated, but they had 2 tough nights. Chase Elliott really was non-existent the entire night. Eric Jones, Ty Gibbs had problems really, really early. Cindric also had some problems there in the middle. And then McDowell and Gilliland ran out of gas. So, interesting. That's what I say. A lot of cautions. You run that thing around 3 or 4 times, and they had to compete in the extra qualifying race. Gas was going to be an issue. So, really, really exciting to have NASCAR back. I enjoyed the race. If I had to give it, I'll give it like a 65%, right? I don't think it was that great of a race. I'm excited to have NASCAR back. I'm excited Martin Truex Jr. won. Maybe increases it a little bit. I'll give it like a 69%. How about that? 69% on the Clem scale for the race. And I would love to know your thoughts on it as well. But thanks so much for watching. Again, if you do enjoy this content, if you enjoy my other content, please leave a like and subscribe. We just hit 4,000 subscribers, so thank you so much. But yeah, every Sunday or so when I'll be able to watch NASCAR races, expect a race review. Otherwise, I hope you guys do have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow.